I'm concerned about how these people coming in and out of Ranlo. You know, that's just my concern. The outlets, you know, how, it seems like we're kind of blocked in. And I'm wondering how's the flow gonna go with more people or residents and possibly businesses? Because I'm thinking, if I had a business on Spencer Mile Road, I would think, well, okay, where are they gonna park?
Right.
Okay, how they get in and out, you know what I'm saying? What time of day is a good day?
Can you see if you can get to?
I mean, I'm already on.
Okay. Well, I got to let him in. So my computer sits up to the live stream. You can always call him on the phone.
Oh, you may have to let me. I don't know. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's the wrong one.
You just call him on the phone. That makes it easier.
Okay. Yeah, that would be good. If you will. Okay. Traffic is something I thought about as well. Concern for more businesses. But we also have to be, you know, we'll look into that a little bit more as well. But the thing about it is, Ranlo is, I mean, it's due for that. You know, we're looking for like grocery stores, right? We're looking for coffee shops. We're looking for rec centers. We're looking for amphitheaters. We're looking for things of that nature that is going to attract people to the town, so that we can make more money for the town of Ranlo, and that will bring in more taxes for us, and we can do more. You know, we can do more of these projects that we're talking about. And I think one of the things that we were talking about, I wasn't going to mention too much about that, but I think there's an outlet for the area. Talk about that a little bit. The area we talked about for putting the Costco or a data center.
Oh, are you talking about the Lewis Farm property?
The Lewis Farm, and that's a project that's already a project board as well. So I think there's a good outlet for that one.
Yeah, the Lewis Farm property has been for sale now for, I guess, probably a year and a half, maybe just shy of that. And as this board knows, maybe a year or so ago, we had a developer come in who was interested in buying the land, and then that deal kind of fell through. So I think if that's what you're referring to, the Lewis Farm property.
And he's really talking about not us buying it, it's more or less a business buying it. Only thing we will be doing is the zoning, if it needs to be rezoned or something like that. But that will bring in more taxes, that will bring in more jobs for Ranlo. And that area, talk about the outlet as far as traffic lines.
Yeah, for which use? Like if it were to be like a development?
For if it were to be, let's say, the data center was to come out there.
Yeah, that would really be up to the developer to provide the town with what their proposed use for the land usage would be. So like you said, it would have to definitely go through rezoning because I think it's zoned ag right now, agricultural, as it's a working farm. So when they would, in theory, kind of the way it would lay out is if someone were to buy that land and have a proposed idea for, like if it's a developer, or you had mentioned data center, whatever it may be, they would essentially come to the town with a proposal. We would sit down with them in the beginning, right? So like when the original subdivision was proposed, there was entrances and exits. I think there were 4 ingress and egress, one on San Paulo, one on Lynn, maybe Sunset, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it would essentially be in that kind of corner towards Woodside area.
Right. Okay, so yeah, so funding sources, we kind of skipped around a little bit on that, but any questions, anyone want to say something else about the funding sources before we actually move on to the next item, which is This is really another type of funding source, but we put it as a second line item. Anybody else want to add to that? So we're talking about actually getting grants, we're talking about actually trying to move some money, $1 million over to help show that we're serious about building. Usually we won't get a grant unless we have some of our own money in there.
May I add one thing, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I don't want to interject. Just so that the board knows, if we were to spend anything over, because we're working to get off the human assistance list, our hope is to be off by this coming up year, because as you saw when Mr. Carey came and gave our financial audit findings, a town our size normally has about a 60% available fund balance, and we're at like 150%, which we grew close to 40% last year. So we're obviously doing great things as far as our financial stewardship goes, but because we're still on that UAL, if we're to spend over X amount of money, and I would imagine that $1 million appropriation of something is over that threshold, that would just require us to go up to Raleigh to sit in front of the LGC and basically get the go-ahead from that. So that is just another step. In theory, the LGC could say no, but we would obviously do it more. Just want to make sure I threw that in there.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. I wanted you to. Funding sources, any other thoughts, talking about grants, we're talking about putting some Ranlo's.
Is this a discussion thing? I mean, you can ask,
Yes.
are you asking us?
Sure, you can ask.
They consider issuing a bond.
Sorry?
Most municipalities issue bonds and therefore get the money that way.
I'm sorry, could you say it again?
Bonds?
Yes, a municipal bond. Issue that, get the money for the bond, and then you pay the bond back gradually over time.
Mr. Mayor, he's talking about public finance of projects with loans in the form of bonds.
Right.
That's just a suggestion. I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying it should be on the table to review. That's all. You know? I don't know
Absolutely.
anything about it, but I just know other municipalities have done that. In my past, I've had to vote for bonds for new schools and whatever. So,
Good idea.
I just want to throw it
Good
out.
idea. We'll definitely look into it.
And since it's a discussion,
Right.
the traffic you're talking about, have you left here between 8:30 and 7:30 and 8:30 in the morning? You haven't? Oh, you have, you know what I'm talking about. The line goes all the way back before the elementary school.
Yeah.
You're at 3 turns of the light.
Yeah.
My background is in engineering. You should hire a traffic engineer, and they'll fix that problem. They'll tell you what you need to do, how to adjust the lights, how many lanes to add. Done and done.
I think the holdup we have with that is by it being a state road. We
Right.
really couldn't do a lot because
You're about to repave it. If you're gonna repave it, put another lane in. But it does this.
that's for the state.
May I add just a quick clarifying note, Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
So when you had mentioned it earlier, and just so we're all crystal clear, the money that we received, grant money, it's $722,690. That is in the SKIP grant for sidewalks for Spencer Mountain Road.
Right.
We wouldn't use local or our Ranlo money to repave Spencer Mountain Road. And we'll get to this in the agenda item.
Right.
And I think the idea was to talk about that we would try to work with DOT to speed up that process. And our public works director, you and I were talking, I think DOT has it slated to be repaved, I think in either calendar year 26 or 27. But we wouldn't use local money to repave the DOT road unless it is a vote of the
I
majority.
thought you told me end of this year.
The DOT
This year,
would be-
26.
The
And then
DOT,
possibly beginning of 27, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. All right,
just make sure we're all clear, the $722,609 is for the sidewalks.
right,
That we got the grant
and the monies, Mr. Barber was talking about, we're really talking about monies that we will use on other projects, not on state.
Yeah. I just wanted to throw out some things that I haven't heard that other municipalities do, issue bonds, and they get money that way. Instead of hitting the people with the tax burden, it's a loan. You get the money up front, and you pay it off the loan over time.
I know this road out here has been redone since around 2000. And they put it off 2010 or 12. That was widened and repaved it. Then they put it off 2020, which was over 5 years ago. So it's been on the dock 2 or 3 times, and They just delayed it. Because they said they didn't have enough money.
So I have a question, is that something we would have to be responsible for financially to get some type of tracking consultant, or would DOT assist?
If it's Spencer Mountain Road, then it would be a DOT situation. What we could do is either say, just have a meeting with them, essentially to say, we have some issues, let me get it solved. I've already, since I've started here, been talking with DOT and our regional group about the Park Road, Ranlo Avenue, Spencer Mountain intersection, because it's basically 5 streets that come in, and it's a nightmare. Unfortunately, DOT is a large state-level agency, so things, normally take years and years to get through that process. So it's not like that we haven't reached out to them, but it's a long-winded answer to your question. There would more than likely be some financial burden on us if it includes town roads. If we're telling DOT to do a study of their own street, we would just have to negotiate working with them on how that would look. If that makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is more of an introduction, honestly, meeting, just a special meeting. If we can, we're gonna move on, hours getting late. Now, we talked about using some of the money that we have in the bank, but we also have some land that we could possibly sell. So we'll talk about, there's some land out there, the water plant, there's an old water plant out here, and we would love to sell that land so that we could have more money for these projects. Charlie will be able to tell you where the land is. He'll tell you how much of the land can be used, and then we can move from there.
Sure, I can give some of the kind of historical and contextual background. So we have right around 20 acres of land that, as you had mentioned, used to house the old water plant. That space is basically just grown over now. We do use it for the police firing range, but we had already discussed if the board were to decide to essentially list and sell that property, there's plenty of options that we could utilize, and that would hurt us operationally. The 20 acres, if you go up the mountain, take a left, this is at Maine, at the bottom, and head like you're heading back into Dallas. On the right there, you'll see GW Harding. That's the street, and there's a gate. That's our 20 acres that we own. That is what previously was water plant. So if the board were to decide to make any change to that land or potentially list it for sale, obviously, we want to talk to our attorney about it, and there's the upset bid process, all these things that we have to talk about. Just kind of from a procedural standpoint. But then the one thing that I mentioned to the mayor as my job to try to just give you all the best advice I can is that, it wouldn't necessarily be like taking equity out of a home where we say we want, I'll just use an imaginary number. I won't, we'll say $100,000. It would probably sell for more than that. Let's just say it's $100,000. If we list it for sale, we wouldn't just immediately get it, right? Someone would obviously have to buy it. And one of the things that I think would probably cause maybe not concern, but just to be considered, is that it's right on the South Fork. So a good, somewhere between 1/3 and 2/3 of that property is well within the floodplain. So that may deter some potential buyers, but it's 20 acres riverfront, so it's obviously a pristine piece of property. So that's kind of the background context for you there.
Absolutely. But that still gives us the opportunity to actually make some money that could possibly be used for other projects. So that's why we wanted to possibly look into it. If we think that we can get it sold for enough, and that would be a consideration.
Mr. Mayor?
And we're open to anybody wanting to say anything about that.
May I interject for just a half a second?
Yes.
Our attorney would like to just talk about that process from
Yes.
a local government standpoint. How do you sell land?
Yeah, it's just kind of important to set the stage. It's not like a normal real estate transaction, obviously, where you can just enter into a private negotiation with somebody that's interested in buying land. In North Carolina, there's a process that's laid out in statute for disposing of real property that's owned by the town. And what that involves is essentially you have 3 options. You can do it as an upset bid process, which is where somebody can put in a bid, and then there's an upset bid stage where people can submit upset bids every 10 days. And there's certain deposit requirements and things like that. And it gives basically a free and open process for anybody to be able to bid on it. So you wouldn't necessarily, like, if you found a buyer, you wouldn't necessarily be able to promise that, they would be able to get the property, because there is always a possibility of an upset bid. That's the first. The next is sealed bid process, which is very similar to the upset bid process. It's just you take in all the sealed bids, you open them up all the time, and you find the highest. And you can't base this decision on anything other than what is in the upset, what is the bid. So you may like a certain buyer more, or they may have more friendly terms, or whatever. They may be promising to do better amenities and stuff like that, but you can't pick them for that reason. You can only pick the highest bid. And so, those are the two main ones. The third one is not really used as much, especially for real property. It's a public auction. Just like as an auction, you go and just sell it off to the highest bidder at a public auction. So just those are the only three for this property. Those are the only three options. So you wouldn't be able to enter kind of private land sale unless there is one exception, which I'm not sure will apply to this, and that's an economic project, an economic development. There's a reason to bring in a business or something like that, and you have the opportunity to sell property under the economic development statutes. So just want to lay that out there.
Very good, very good. Sorry, we got someone here that would like to say something.
Yes,
Ms.
it's
Diane?
allowing it. We do have that trail that's supposed to be coming. When are they supposed to start with that?
Do you mind if I answer, Mr.
Yes,
Mayor?
absolutely.
Talk about the Carolina Thread Trail up here on the mountain. They're starting work on that trail this month.
I don't know if we would want to hold on and option that later once that is done, or make use of it ourselves, taking advantage of the fact that the trail will be up through there. Because it goes up into Spencer Mountain, doesn't it? Or up on.
Mind if I answer again?
Yes.
Yes, so the Carolina Thread Trail via the Catawba Lands Conservancy is building what is called the Matthews Belt Corridor, which reaches basically from Belmont and it ends at Pinnacles here at the top of Spencer Mountain. So there's going to be an access from Poston, there's going to be an access right here, basically just halfway up the mountain, even though there's not trailhead yet, we're going to start working on getting ourselves a trailhead. So that will just be tight to the mountain. The reason I say the Matthews Belt Corridor and why that's important is because the next phase, and this is something that just went through the state general assembly, it got, I think, voted on as the first state trail park. I'm gonna mess up the language, but a large piece of legislation that essentially designated as a state trail system that's eventually going to go from this mountain right through our property all the way to Lincoln. So it's going to be this massive, almost like Appalachian Trail type mindset, and that would go right through those 28.
That's what I thought. So that's why I
But that
said
is-
something about the water plant, yes. But that would possibly bring some revenue, but I'm thinking it could potentially bring more revenue a little bit further down the road once the trail comes.
Absolutely. Good.
Yeah, building off that, I was even saying, developing floodplains and riverfronts is usually asking for issues causing flooding downstream or other environmental damage. So selling it and saving that land as the parks and the trails come through, and trying to specifically get designated as ecotourism development would be a really good way to improve community, because then you don't just have some big business coming in and wrecking things. You're actually keeping that here in the community, because a lot of times it ends up being smaller local businesses that will do that. It helps with the environment, it's bringing in the business and the money, and it kind of ties it all together in the trails. And it's something you can get somewhere else, because it's here, the land is here, the riverfront is here. You can't just build that somewhere else. So that'd be something unique to Ranlo.
Absolutely, that's a great idea. Yeah, like I said, we're open to everything, just open to ideas. We're trying to make sure that everybody has some input on this. But commissioners, I want to give you the opportunity to Whenever you have a chance, please contact Charlie with any kind of ideas that you might have, so you can, put it on the project board, and if you want to talk a little bit about the stuff that we have now, please feel free to talk about that. But now I'm gonna move on to the next item, guys, item number 8. We've kind of already discussed this one, so, repaving of the Spencer Mountain Road is not too much we could say, else we could say about that, because we kind of jumped around on that one, so, unless anybody else has something to say, go ahead.
Just one little thing about it, I know it's not completely in our hands, but if we are going to be able to repave the big mountain road, can we please make sure that we talk with the other utilities that are surrounding the road so that we don't repave the road and then like 2 months later they come and tear it up again? Because I have lived through that on a road I lived on where it got torn up like 3 times and then repaved and then torn up, and it's like, why? Who is failing to communicate so that this doesn't keep happening?
Mr. Mayor, may I add a comment to that?
Yes.
That's a fantastic point. So one thing that we just recently started doing that we've never done before, so this wouldn't be Spencer Mountain because it's DOT road. But on our specific streets, we're going to be bringing back to the board probably in just a little bit of discussion, not for vote tomorrow, but probably to vote in February, for repaving of some streets here in Ranlo. And what we did in Public Works, was their idea was brilliant, was went and looked at all the things underneath of the road, like all the storm drains, all the pipes under there, to say, well, if we're going to go in and spend money, or if, for example, if there's an infrastructure project where we know water lines are coming in, right, that may change prioritization of when that road's going to get repaved, because if we repave it, it's just going to get torn up a couple of weeks later, right? Or, for example, and we found some specific examples, if we have a storm drain or a pipe, a large reinforced concrete pipe that's going under the street, and we know that's one that we want to repave, we send a camera through to go make sure it's in good shape. And if there is one that is not in good shape, or if the bottom's rusted out or gone out of it, if it's a metal pipe, that changes the budget process for the next year to say, okay, this is actually going to be a little bit more expensive project because we need to go in there and fix the storm drains, and then we can repave the streets that we don't have to go back and repave. So hopefully that's a little reassuring that we're doing that now, and that's a new thing. We're running the cameras through the storm drains. That's our amazing public works director. It's really going to save us some money in the future.
Absolutely, and Commissioner Robert Connor said something, I'll let you go, CJ, in just a minute. But Commissioner Connor said something about not having enough space, and possibly someone else said something about widening the road. So while we're talking to the DOT, we can also talk to them about possibly widening that road. I know we got a center lane, maybe we have to get rid of the center lane and then widen the road.
And you can bring to them, bring out to them that the trail is a given and coming, which will bring more traffic.
Absolutely.
They have said,
That's a given.
may I interject one more time?
Yes.
I don't want to keep just interrupting. The Carolina Thread Trail has estimated that between 500 and 800,000 people a year are going to come back to Mountain. It's going to be a healthy competitor with Crowder's Mountain and Kingsland. So it's exciting. It's going to bring.
Yes. So our Director of Public Works, CJ, wants to interject.
Give you some insight for the lady asking about when you pave a road and then you see a utility coming and digging it up. What happens a lot of times, and this is any municipality, is when you resurface the road, you have a machine called a coal fan. It grinds the road so you can put a new one in. What happens is, with old infrastructure system, that machine vibrates the ground so hard and it breaks the water line. And unfortunately, that's one of the takeaways that you got. You're going to resurface, you're going to have water leaks. So it vibrates the ground and old water lines, old steel water lines don't make vibration. And it's great. And that's why you see your nice paper and everything, 2 weeks later, that the water department's out there digging that road up. That's because the paving causes stress to the infrastructure. And that's just the nature of the beast. But as it was Spencer Mountain Road, before Charlie got here, probably about 3.5 years ago, DOT actually did a traffic survey from in front of the world to the intersection. And they deemed it high priority due to it is overcapacity. It cannot hold the flow. And DOT is aware, but like DOT will tell you, is what does Raleigh allow them to do? Raleigh dictates where the funding can go, and then Raleigh dictates where it's on the priority list. For the local regions of DOT, it's high on the list. But Raleigh's looking at 485, 85 interchange as $1 million priority instead of, you know, a $10 million project here around.
Absolutely. So one of the things we want to do is we want to make sure we bring up all those concerns when we talk to DOT. What Commissioner Laws brought up was the fact that we got overlooked back in like 2000.
It's been a long time.
In 2012, and then overlooked again in 2020. We'll talk about the survey that, the stuff that CJ talked about as well. So we, since we're on the list, we need to make sure we stay on the list, all right? Okay, so I'm gonna move on to the next items. I was getting late. We want to discuss this monthly board working session. So we're gonna have some work sessions. We got a lot of work to do. This is really for the commissioners. You guys are gonna be public. You can come in, but we're gonna have working sessions. I deem working sessions as stuff like this. We're getting ideas, we're putting ideas down, and we're, eventually, at the next working session, we'll then start putting timelines. Nothing gets done unless it's written down, and you got some timelines on it. And that's why we got this project board that we have here. So that's some of the things that Charlie and I are going to be working on, and the board is going to be working on getting those timelines, getting this stuff written down, and putting those timelines on it. So just be prepared for those working sessions.
I have a question.
Yes.
Excuse me, I have a question and concern. Mr. Barber, you brought up the taxes. Could you all educate me on what you shared? He said that Charlotte taxes were reduced along with.
Their tax rate went down, they reduced it after they had a lot of complaints.
Okay,
Gastonia reduced their tax rate because they had a lot of complaints. Because the whole state, I mean, what happened is we had the housing boom, and
right,
that's when they came back in and did a revaluation. My house tripled in value. The tax rate for Ranlo did not change. Therefore, my taxes tripled. Because my value tripled.
could you explain that?
Yeah, I think Ranlo's tax rate did lower 5 cents, but I agree with him, I mean, it was still extremely high. My property value, it went from like $2,800 to $4,100 in taxes. So I don't understand where all this money that we need, why ain't it there? We're paying our share, you know? Our property value went so sky high, Ranlo did come down 5 cents.
Do you know?
Yeah, when I got that.
I will give them that, but that's more like.
Well, that's really, that was.
Let's
It went down 5 cents.
Well, I mean, we don't even have a gas station here to fill up our cars and a service station for our police cars or anything else. We have nothing.
Let's do some research in that.
Yeah, I'm interested in
I
that.
can bring up, this, if I may, this would have been before I was here, but I believe, to Mr. Moore's point, when the county does the reevaluation, Ranlo doesn't do the reevaluation, the county does, we went from 50 cents per $100 of assessed value down to 45. That was before I was here, but since then it's maintained
5
45.
cents.
Yeah, and that's a board discussion for when we go into budget workshops in essentially February, March, April, and May, for the board to discuss around the tax rate.
But for these places to say that they cut taxes, when my premium went from $2,800 to $4,100, you're not telling me you cut taxes, you didn't do it. You're raking in a bunch of
They
money.
use that money to put his feet on the street.
Yeah.
Well, if you had more businesses here, you'll be bringing in more taxes anyway. That's
And
another
also, the
thing.
majority of that tax rate is from Gastonia.
That's why you can't bring some business. Taxes.
I mean, Gaston County, so, if we
We'll do
if
some
we
research and see
get
what.
away from Gaston County, we would have the lowest tax rate.
Oh, okay, guys, let's move on. I don't want to keep everybody all night. Let's move on to the next item number 10. We want to, do a quick discussion on the, town hall and police department, police station. I'm gonna leave that one to Charlie to kind of talk about,
Can I actually interrupt you for just a
Sure.
second? Our attorney wanted to say just something quickly about the work sessions, just so I proceed.
Yeah, so it's important to know, just to clarify, there's 3 types of meetings in North Carolina. There's a regular official meeting, there's a special meeting, which is what this has been called as, and then there's an emergency meeting, okay? As far as the work session, if the board is wanting a regular work session, you would need to amend the regular meeting schedule to have those dates set. And it can't be any sooner under state law than 7 days. You would have to do it, 7 days. So otherwise, you're gonna be just calling special meeting after special meeting after special meeting. So I think the board needs to decide, as far as the work sessions, do you want to amend the regular meeting schedule, have a set regular meeting schedule? A lot of jurisdictions just hold it right before the regular meeting. They have, work session before the regular meeting. Some of them make the regular meeting, it's all one official meeting. It's a work session where nothing's voted on, and then they adjourn to go into the regular meeting, but it's all one meeting. So you do it that way, or if you wanted it on separate days, you could do it as part of the regular meeting schedule. So that's something that would have to be voted on by the board. Just wanted to.
yeah, I was just kind of discussing that with met with the mayor from Cramerton. And that's one of the things that they do, because they have a working session every week on a different day. Now, I guess we would have to amend it, but I would prefer not to do it on the same day.
You don't have to do it on the same day necessarily, but you just have to adopt the schedule.
Right.
So it'd have to be regular, that's why they're called regular meetings. So the work sessions would have to be the same way, because for notice purposes under North Carolina law, it's one of those 3 meetings. And so unless you want to call special meetings each time, then you need to have that as a.
And that's something we need to vote on as well, right? So we can put that, you already sent the agenda out, so we can put it on the next one, I guess.
Well, it was in today's, essentially, today is a special day, so it could happen today, but if the board wanted to instruct staff to come up with a schedule or whatever, I would like a little bit more input, I think, on kind of maybe the, recurringness of it, like this. It's nice for our residents to know, oh, it's second Thursday, that's our regular board meeting, because some days it's the third week, some days it's the first week, whatever, right?
And we have to post it to the website, we have to.
So the public has plenty of opportunity to be able to be here and to engage with their government. So I think as long as the board were to give me some sort of, or maybe even just the board decide on the structure of it, then that could be something that you vote on. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And I guess Gary could be added to the agenda. Well, we already said that,
Well, you mean for tomorrow?
yeah, not necessarily, but.
I mean, I think probably the first thing is to just get some instructions about how frequent they need to be, what does the board want to do as far as separate days, same day as a regular meeting, et cetera. So I don't know if you all want to think about that and then discuss that.
You guys want to think about it, want to table it?
I just have a question, so.
The reason why I wanted to get in immediately is because of the fact that we have so many things that need to be done. But let's table it for next month, if that's okay with you.
I just have a question.
Sure.
The working session, so will they look like this where,
Similar to this, yeah.
residents residents are able to communicate and speak? Okay.
Okay, Mr. Lloyd?
Well, I mean, so, you can set it up however you want to, but typically work sessions are the time when just the board is working through matters, and then when you get into your regular meeting, that's when you have public comments, and there's a public comment period where people say, now, you can structure it however you want, but that's that's, otherwise, you might as well just have a longer regular meeting, you know what I mean? If you're gonna just do public comment, you're gonna do all these things, just like a regular meeting, then you're basically just doing an additional regular meeting.
Well,
Which some places do, some places have 2 regular
we don't
meetings a month.
have to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
But one of the things is, I do like to hear the advice, what everybody else is saying, so, yeah, I would like that, the rest of the commission, board may not like it. So that's something we can talk about. How we want to structure it,
So do we want to table it?
table down.
I make a motion that we table this one.
I'm thinking,
All in favor? Okay, all right, let's go to, item number 10. We'll try to make this as quick as possible because we already said some stuff about this. As far as the building of the, discussion on the town hall police station. We've seen, multiple designs. We've seen some, they've already made some designs. Mosley has made a design. I think, Commissioner Laws, Commissioner, Locklear has already seen some of those designs. But let me go ahead and let Charlie go ahead.
Just a quick clarity, point of clarity. So Mosley has given us a proposal, not a design. We awarded them the design to start working on the design for us. And then they will have us a nice, pretty design with whatever this group and staff and public says. There's going to be stakeholder engagement. It's going to be public forum where we can come in and say, what do you want from your new town hall? That's just their proposal to say, here's some of our past projects, how we over-delivered, how we have come in under budget and before timeline, pick us and let us design your new town hall. That's what Mosley gave us. It's just a proposal, and that's why we awarded them the design. So we're working with them now. So they haven't given us a design. We're in the beginning stages of creating design with them.
Absolutely, and really, I was really referring to the designs that Creature Associates had. So those are the ones that they already saw, and they're beautiful designs. I think it'll do wonders for Ranlo, because we'll have a place that we can actually talk to businesses, talking about some of the things that we can offer, and we'll even have a model of what we want to be added in the future around that town hall, whether it be coffee shops, whether it be an amphitheater, or things of that nature. So we just want to kind of introduce that. Anything else you want to say about that, Charlie?
Do you Not necessarily. Yeah, just the Creech was from, the Creech and Associates design was from 2020.
No kin to me.
No kin, right, no affiliation. It would be worth noting that those numbers are pre-COVID. So we can imagine if it was a $10 million project, then it's probably an $18, $20 million project now. And we are already working with Mosley. So that's the two kind of things that I just mentioned.
Yeah, and just, I mean, it probably goes without saying, but I'll just say it as the town attorney, that we have a vote to award the contract to Mosley. So if we are wanting to rescind that vote, there's a process involved for that.
Well, what I think I can add to it is, if it's, and I don't want to speak for the board, but if it is the will or the appetite of the board to say, maybe to take some of those elements that maybe you saw that you liked. That's the reason that we had that meeting with Withers and Mosley, is to say, if the board were to say, if the board were to come up with and say, our interest now is for maybe something more than just the town hall and police station. Maybe something bigger, whatever the board comes up with, the amphitheater, whatever. It may be elements from previous shell designs. Mosley and Withers can still do that for us. Because we're in the beginning phases of that. And that'll be something that we'll have to pay for the design to do, but what we found in the past is that when we go to the General Assembly, we go to our congressman about that, showing commitment, showing that we're putting money into it to begin it, goes a long way.
And one more thing about that, I'm going to get to you. One more thing about that is because of the fact that we need to have the designs ready, and that's one of the things that Mr. Coffin talked about. Before we can start asking for grants, we need to have a plan in place, right? We need to know what we want so that we can ask for the money to get it. All right, I'm sorry, did you?
Oh, no, that's fine. Can you provide, and maybe I missed it, but I just want to ask for clarity. In terms of the $1 million that we would be contributing to Mosley,
are we paying a separate fee for the grant writing, or is all that $1 million going to the project itself?
Great question. So the $1 million is not what the cost to do the design with Mosley is. I think the million maybe that you're talking about is what the mayor may have mentioned earlier as a one-time or like a down payment. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right. So that's a completely separate thing. So the board voted, and I'm not speaking for the board here, but I'm just the person who executes. The board voted to move forward with Mosley to create a design, and it's a public document. I can bring it in here next time, or you can come see me in the office, I'll show it to you. So the cost to do the design is not it's substantially less than that. And what the design would essentially give us is a full schematic, so everything from, you know, how many offices, where are the offices, down to, you know, what kind of desks there are, right? So it wouldn't be building yet, it could be into like a design build type deal where the engineers could then take over and help us because they already have the institutional knowledge of the project. But the $1 million that the mayor mentioned would just be an earmark from, if the board were to decide to put money toward the project. What Mosley's doing for us is the whole design project, and that comes with some of those services like holding stakeholder meetings with the public. So they'll come in and say, you know, mayor and board, what do you want to see out of your new municipal center, out of your new town hall? Staff, what do you need? Police, what do you need? You know, stuff like that. And it also comes with their team of specific, like, financial searchers, if you will, right? So I mentioned a little bit earlier that I know the engineers that work with have 15 people that just all they do is go find money for their clients. And across North Carolina, they brought in over $1 billion to their clients. So that would be a service that they would provide to us to help seek more funding for the project. Does that kind of make sense? As long as it answers, that kind of makes sense.
And so, you know, I ran for senator last year, and a lot of us went out talking about how much money we brought in. So this is a chance for us to get those senators and House of Representative people bringing that money into Ranlo now. It sounds like we've been missing out on a lot of money that we should have been getting. Now it's our turn to get some. Any other comments on that before we move on to 11? Item number 11. Okay, guys, the hour's getting late. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to do the mayor comments. I want to say right now, I just believe that God has His hand on Ranlo. Hopefully that doesn't make you uncomfortable because I know it's true. You're going to see some big changes. You're going to see some better things happen. It's going to take a little bit of time. All right, we got some great commissioners here. We've got a great town manager. We've got a great lawyer here, Mr. Tasco. So we have great people in Ranlo. We had a chance, I found that out. I already knew we had some good people in our neighborhood, but then I had a chance to go out with Chief Lunsford here. He actually came out and said, hey, let's go out and do the Toys for Tots. And we just had a chance to see how much love Ranlo spread around the whole Gaston County. There's a lot of great people here, a lot of good people, and I know we can work, as long as we're working together, we'll get some things done. All right, so any comments from the board? Item number 12.
Yes, I have a comment. The things that we discussed, the one thing that maybe I need to do my own homework on is this water bill situation. These, was it 3 rivers and all that, and we're supposed to be getting a 5% increase for the next 2 years, am I correct?
So it's Two Rivers Utilities that's run by
Two
City
Rivers,
Gas right
I'm
now.
sorry.
And last year they had told us that their board of advisors had voted on 5% water, 5% sewer for 3 years in a row, and then a 2.5 for each in perpetuity.
Okay, well, what concerns me about that is, I tried to dig a little bit, because I was wondering, was that across the board for all the townships? You know what I'm saying? And then when I asked other people, they're like, no, we're not, no, I don't know anything about that. So I'm kind of curious how we look to see, did Two Rivers do that for Mount Holly? Did they do that for Belmont? Did they do that for Bessemer City? Did they do it for the other towns? Or is it just Ranlo? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so it's not just Ranlo. I can answer that. If anybody has their own water supply, they can control their own rates,
Okay.
right? Anybody who buys from Two Rivers gets a municipal wholesale rate from the city gas company. And then I'm a messenger here. So as you know, and it's something that's common across the entire state of North Carolina, if you're part of a regional utility and you're buying as a purchase system, you are at mercy of whatever the numbers they come up with. But it's not just specifically Ranlo. We have a large advisory board meeting with Two Rivers every single year, every single quarter, and maybe even monthly, where they go through the projects and things that are happening, and they talk about the rates as well. And Lowell's there, Kramerton's there, Cabinet's there.
So you think they've got the same rates that we do?
Correct.
Okay.
And what we do specifically is we work with the North Carolina Rural Water Association that can work with small towns like us, and they come in every single year and do a rate study. So they look at our customers to say, because for example, when I first started here, started in January and then March recommended that we go up. Not something I want to do, right? I'm not interested in going up on water. So it's not like we're trying to generate a large amount of income, because what Two Rivers did when I first started was went up, I think it was 5 and 5, but based on our customer profile, we were able to get away with 3 1/4, 3 1/4. And the reason I say that is because it's not necessarily apples to apples, right? If they say they go up 5% on water and sewer. Well, if we go up 5%, that could accidentally generate too much revenue, which we don't want to. The board decided not to put that burden on the bill payer, right? Like we don't want to just pad the pockets for no reason, right? We want to run it, and what the board decided was, let's run it as lean as we can possibly do, right? And that's what we have been doing. So we were able to go lower than that, what would have been 5% back then, at that 3 1/4, I think is what we ended up doing, based on our because we know of our 1,700 customers, the majority are that 0 to 3,000 gallon user, right? So if we end up going, if we just say it's apples to apples, 5%, it could be where we could have run it more lean, so that's why we did cut it over.
Thank you for explaining.
Of course.
I appreciate that.
Well,
The other thing I want to mention that I am so excited about, I want to wait till tomorrow night, but I talk a lot, so I'm going to put it out there. I am so excited, but I don't know if you all have noticed, but our big banner for Caitlin Brown is on that building. It's 20 feet by 18 feet. And I'm so proud that we have that, because I'm realizing too, as we talk about growth and business and growing, people want something to say positive about Ranlo. And if it could just be, hey, we have an Olympian, look at the odds of going to Olympics and winning a gold and a silver and setting a world record. We have that young lady that's from Ranlo, parents still reside here while she's in school. So I'm hoping that all of you are excited about it. Don't throw eggs at it, throw them at me if you don't like it. Throw the eggs at me, don't throw it at the banner. Because I am really excited and so proud of this young lady, but also it's something for Ranlo to truly, really be proud of. This is our girl, you know what I'm saying? So thank you for letting me, I wasn't gonna say nothing, but nobody's gonna say nothing to me about it, so I put it out there.
I figured you'd say something tomorrow night.
I couldn't hold it, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't hold it, and I hope you all love it. And we just need to really shine on how great our town is. We need to shine, because there are great people here, great residents. We just hear about all the crappy stuff or talk about it. So, there you go. Thank you.
I just want to make one comment. I appreciate everyone coming out. I know when Corey and I decided tonight, we really wanted to get the residents involved. And so everything that we do and how we want to go and how we want to move forward, it is with the assistance, the feedback from the residents. So tomorrow, I hope you can make the meeting tomorrow as well. We're going to start talking about more things that we're trying to do in the community with our residents, trying to get our residents engaged. So again, we want to be for people. We want to hear from the people. So we appreciate you coming out tonight, and hopefully you'll come out tomorrow to hear some things that we're trying to do to get more resident engagement.
Well,
So I vote the working session, us talking.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I second.
all in favor? All right, let's go and vote for me. All right, thank you guys.
official.
That is.
That's mine. I'll take it. Mr. Moore, you still there?